Stay up late.
Oops. That's the wrong one.
Well.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday Show. I'm Hammer. I'm joined by my two favorite Wednesday Show hosts, Genty Maxie.
Hello.
And Terry Diamantis.
If you want to change the intro music to Stay Up Late, I'm fine with it. You might get copyright claims.
Guess who the band is for tonight, in case you were wondering. It was a little obvious. The music for the show is all in the same folder, and I was off by that 1/1000th of a pixel kind of deal. So maybe I should probably do that to run. I think what I'll do is I'll put the main title for the show, the main music you're hearing now. I'll put that an icon on my desktop.
Right.
That way it won't be the possibility of, well, knowing my capabilities, I'll probably still get it wrong somehow, but I'll find a way. Life finds a way. But maybe that might be a good idea to try to mitigate accidents in the future. Yeah, like that's going to happen. Anyway. How you doing, Jen?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I am well. Terry, how are you?
Good. Like I said before, I was disappointed that there's a game that I really wanted to play on Tabletop Simulator, but then I remembered how awful Tabletop Simulator is. I was like, no, not worth bothering with. I'll just continue watching the videos on YouTube. I won't actually try and play it.
How is the sleeping schedule thing working?
Sleeping is fine.
Because
the road work seems to have stopped.
That was my question.
Yeah, if it's not stopped, then it's been impressively quiet compared to how it used to be.
Maybe they've moved to a different part of the area.
I think that's probably what it is.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. You got there first, though.
Well, before we get to saying hello, everybody, let's go ahead and check the topics. We'll do the wonderful people in chat here in a moment. I want to go through the topics because we're not going to get to them anyway, so why care?
Yes.
3 topics tonight: Wray, TFE, and Wanted. Wray is about Chris Wray, the director of the FBI, who's planned or has announced that he plans to retire. Not specific about when, but I don't think he's going to.
And I need to hear the word gun.
Yeah. Well, his replacement has been chosen. When that happens, I don't know that process, but his days are numbered. Either way, his days are numbered. Either he's going to be fired by Trump or he's going to resign and retire.
Right.
So
I think Trump should fire quite a lot of people when he takes office.
Now, he said he's going to retire. That means that not only is he resigning, but he's retiring from the government entirely.
I mean, okay,
so,
that's fine.
Good news. Good news.
Yeah.
And then we have TFE. I'm going to hit Wanted first. Everybody's well aware of the Manhattan United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson murder by Luigi Mangione.
By the fifth. I'm not going to finish that.
But what's happening now is apparently a group has gotten together. I don't know if it's Antifa or BLM or who's doing it, but they're putting up posters with the likenesses of other CEOs and making them targets.
That is fucked up, man.
I'm not surprised because they're a bunch of little sociopaths.
Now if they put up just Blue Cross and Blue Shield or something like that, that's one thing. But they're doing every major CEO, Gates, everybody is getting a poster in Manhattan with their face on it.
I don't like Bill Gates. I don't want him assassinated.
No, I don't want anybody assassinated. Yeah.
I would rather he be destroyed in court in law because I think that would be far more humiliating to a guy like that.
Absolutely.
Shooting a man in the back is just the coward's way of doing everything.
Well, even if you shot him in the front, it's still not going to solve anything. All you're doing is murdering. You're not going to make anything better in any way, shape, or form by eliminating one guy, even if he's a CEO. Because they're going to just promote somebody else into CEO, and he's going to do the same thing. So you didn't win. It's stupid.
It's never going to mean anything to me, but to not have it like None of this guy is ever going to affect me, but I still feel bad for his family.
Oh,
Fuck
yeah.
the guy who shot him.
But he's hot, so Jen's
So I've heard.
he's
So I've
dateable.
heard.
I just cut myself off from calling him the F word.
Women have been throwing themselves at this guy on Twitter.
I also said on Buck Angel's channel today that I kind of thought Daniel Penny was better looking.
Okay.
You know, he reminds me of Larry Bird a little bit. The thing about Luigi, right? That's his name, Luigi.
Yes.
I just wanted to make a Nintendo 64 joke there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm an old guy, so I could be a little bit in the past here. But it seems to me that an awful lot of men who are attracted to other men have a very metrosexual look to them.
Mm-hmm.
And he fits that to the T.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying one thing or another, but all these women are just panting over the guy. And I'm thinking to myself,
oh, boy, are they.
He looks
man.
like actually I listened to Monkey last night, and Monkey's description of him was pretty
How'd you do
apt
that?
to me. He thought that the guy looked like he smelt bad.
Nah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I've met guys like that, and like you're like, oh, okay, he looks nice enough, and then you sit next to him, and you're like, yeah, he stinks.
Yeah, he smells like patchouli oil. Right?
Yeah,
That's funny. Cat piss.
I know it sounds like I'm trying to be that kind of gal, but looks aren't everything by the time you reach your 40s, definitely, unless you're like a little fluffy in the head, because some of the best looking guys that I've ever met were the biggest douchebags, and some guys that I've met that were definitely not as attractive as some men ended up being the most attractive men because of the way they spoke to me, the way they behaved themselves, and they smelt nice.
Well, it's the
Don't
same
underestimate
with,
the power of body odor.
no, it's the same with both genders. If you're good looking enough, you don't need a good personality, because you'll get women or men, whichever you're into, they'll be attracted to you based on a physical level. You don't need to be a nice person. You don't need a personality. You can just be hot, and you'll get attention.
And then you meet people like me who are like, no, I actually kind of do need a personality with the person that I'm wanting to form a relationship with. It's just always going to be a thing.
Also, you've moved out of that stage of life. You're not in your 20s anymore, so your priorities will have shifted as you've gotten older. That's just normal.
Yeah, the glam is no longer glamorous.
Yeah.
I find that true to be true of most people, to be honest with you. Once they get past oh, he's so hot, oh, she's so sexy, once they get past that, you know, they've had a little experience in life, they start thinking about other things about people that are actually more important than just the pretty outside. So
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying looks aren't important at all. You do need to be attracted to the person on a physical level to some degree, but it's by far the least important of the things that needs to be present.
It really is one of those things. Like, sometimes the personality of a person can do magical things about how you view them. Like all of a sudden, the things that weren't like that you would have picked out on them because, you know, you don't know them, or they just kind of become the least important things to you. So you're not wrong. Like, there does have to be a level of attractiveness, but that has to come from somewhere.
And Robin in chat says, I may not look the best, but I do showers regularly. Well, that's a start.
That's actually very important. Wash your ass.
Yeah.
It's funny you should mention Daniel Perry, because that's one of the backup topics tonight. So I always have backup topics. Jen and Terry both know this. I have backup topics in case we run out of the three primary that we don't ever get to anyway. But Penny's freedom is one of the backup topics, along with our recent spat with drones running around. But I don't really consider those things important to talk about. The other three topics I picked were more important because they're not being discussed on every channel everywhere. That's why I put backups in case we run out of things to talk about. And I didn't mention the third topic that I skipped was TFE. There's been a long-standing battle between people who are intelligent and people who are not so intelligent about the configuration of the planet. I'll try to put it that way. Some people believe that it is circular. Some people believe that it's flat. And there's people like me who believe they're oblique semispheroids, which is actually the correct way we are.
No, I can tell you with confidence that it is shaped like a banana, and I can even cite my sources. If you watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail,
Yeah.
Sir Bedivere clearly states that the world is shaped like a banana.
Banana.
Check and mate.
It's just a flesh wound.
Yes.
I love Monty Python.
Yes.
But
So Hammer, is your version of it the one where the world has never been really round? Like it is round, but it's not a circle.
it is not round and it is not a circle. It is an oblique spheroid because of gravity. As you spin, the Earth bulges at its equator. So it is not round. Round would be circular in every direction.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's not like a round ball. It's not a marble.
No, it's not completely. The distance from pole to pole is not the same distance as the equator.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I never
So-
thought it was a marble. I just didn't know the way to describe it.
Well, I think a lot of people back in the day when we didn't know as much as we know, I mean, it was always been referred to as the blue marble. You know, you listen to people in NASA talk about or watch old NASA films, they'll be on the moon, they'll show a picture of the Earth, and there's the blue marble. You know,
It's close enough to spherical.
Yeah,
It's
from that
never gonna
distance.
be exact.
Yeah, but even so, you know, we have huge mountains and deep troughs and stuff like that. But if you were to make your hand, if you were to make your hand relative to the size of the Earth and run your finger across the continents, you would feel it would be as smooth as a marble. You wouldn't be able to feel those little imperfections. They're so technically so tiny. You know. kind of deal.
And opinionated Scotsman says
Yeah.
the moon's also made of cheese. He's seen it on Wallace and Gromit. So it is a cheesy banana. There you go. We've solved the mystery.
Either that or it's hollow. There's some questions about whether the moon's hollow because they dropped something on the surface and they watched the sound move through the moon, and it moved through way too slowly to be dense. So the moon is supposedly hollow. So and they've checked it a couple times. It keeps doing the same thing. They can't explain it.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you could crack the moon like an egg.
It was something like some kind of launch we made didn't work well, or some like JAXA or somebody dropped something on it and it made a sound that sounded literally like a bell because it bounced around and bounced around and bounced around like it was hollow. So they dropped another thing on it just to see if that was true, and it did the same thing again. They're like, well, confirmed, something's not right here, but they still don't know what it is. So anyway.
I have to correct here. We are not, in fact, monkeys. We are, in fact, apes. Monkeys have tails. Apes do not have tails.
Correct. Although we have
It's funny that it's the monkey himself who's saying that. Although
we do have something that's similar to a vestigial tail. We have the coccyx bone at the bottom of the back of our spinal cord, which is about 1.5 inches long at the end of the spine. So it's possible that at one time our ancestors did have tails. It's possible because we wouldn't have that small.
I'd say
bone.
it's likely. Why else would we have that if not for our ancestors having like proper tails?
Yeah, no, they could have had the same length that we do. We don't know. They could have that same small bone and not have had a tail, but
it seems more likely that a vestigial organ doesn't make sense unless there was like something that was there and is now.
Yeah, it's of no use to us. There's a lot of things that we have that are not of any particular use to us. So, you know, you gotta wonder. You know, men have generally one extra rib. Do we need it? No.
No.
I do have the impression that if you broke that bone, though, your balance might be a bit off. If it does anything, it's probably to do with our balance still.
Maybe.
Not by a lot, but you know, there's bones that you can lose where you're still going to function, just not as well.
Well, there's pretty dramatic differences in our skeletal structure between men and women, and we seem to be okay. I don't think that
we're on YouTube. Men and women are identical in every way.
They're
There is
replaceable
zero
widgets, right?
differences.
Yeah. But the way the pelvis is built between a woman and a man, it's the only way we can determine sex after death. So it's your pelvis is physically not identical to ours. And not like they're identical to each other. Not every woman's pelvis is the same in size and all that kind of stuff. But it's designed completely different. Our pelvises are solid. They're one piece. Yours are not. Yours are held together with tendons. Did you know that?
He's being satirical. This is parody. Do not say that.
I'm going to get us a strike. I'm going to get a strike talking about bone structure. Oh my God.
You know what would be amazing is if 3 white people got a strike for calling themselves a bunch of apes.
Yeah.
There you go. But did you know that if you were to look at your pelvis, it's if you were to look at next to a male pelvis and look at the 2 bones, they don't look terribly alike. I mean, they're generally, you got legs and the backbone that connect to them, so they're generally. But I mean, if you look at the way they're built,
I too have seen the sphere test where you take a spheric ball and you can push it down one.
Yeah, yours is designed to pass a baby, no doubt. But it's not just that. It's just that your pelvis moves. It's not solid. It's made in parts with tendons holding it together. And that's why there's so much pain during childbirth, because you're stretching those tendons.
Right. It is a little bit like a snake mouth. I've had it described as something like a snake mouth.
That's the front bottom of it where the baby's coming out. But all around it, the bones that you connect your legs to, your hips, and where your spine connects, the spine to the pelvis is solid, but the spine to the pelvis to the hips is solid. But at those connection points, there's tendons all around there to keep everything together. So, yeah, you guys are a lot different. But anyway,
opinionated Scotsman was saying that you can't fit a baby through a male pelvis, and I said,
nope.
You're just not trying hard enough.
Not trying hard enough. I'll make it fit. It always makes me laugh because people talk about how, well, I can't get on this subject, can I? We're going to get a strike if I get too far on this.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to start pointing out the real differences between men and women. That's going to get us in trouble.
No,
so.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, forget about that. But it is, women are just designed different than men. Everything about women is different. I mean, we're humans. We're all humans. We all have value in our life. But your sense of balance is different because your legs are attached to your hips in a different spot than our legs are attached to our hips. Our legs are attached more under the pelvis. Yours is attached more to the side of the pelvis, which is why your ass bounces when you walk. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's certain things about our structure that it's there for a reason, So, and it's not just the structure. It's not just the physical structure. It's things like pain tolerance. You can handle higher pain than we can in general. When it comes to men and women, you can handle higher levels of pain because you're designed to do that, because birthing a baby is very painful. You have to be able to tolerate that. And the level of stress and the level of, what was the other thing that they mentioned? I read the whole thing about this, so it's still on the top of my tongue. The level of stress and your endurance is much higher than men. They talk about men having advantages over women. Well, there's women that have advantages over men. But both of those are there because having a baby is stressful, and you have to tolerate the length of the birth. The fact that you're going to be dilating over a period of time, you need to be able to have the stamina for that. So. Mm-hmm.
It's also little things that I remember from childhood. And I know that this changes over life because, anyone can train themselves to do something if they really want to.
Sure.
But when I was a kid and we were doing things in gym, like, learning how to do different stretches and things, mm-hmm. It was one guy out of the group that who could spread his legs, but the rest of them would struggle with it. Like, it was something that clearly they had to learn how to do, like to tolerate the pain or to figure out how to stretch. And maybe one guy was just a little bit of a weirdo or double jointed or something,
Right.
Whereas the women, it was kind of a little bit the opposite. And that's not to say that all of them could spread, because they couldn't, but they had an easier time of doing it.
Your pelvis is different.
Yeah. It was kind of apparent, like even as a child, you could kind of tell that there was a difference.
Yeah.
Obviously there's outliers. So nobody's saying that that's not still true, but You're talking about 1 out of like 20 kids.
Yeah, you got to talk in generalities when you're talking about things like this.
Yeah,
You can't, because there's always an
So-
exception.
Well, one of the experiments I saw that proved the difference in pain tolerance, which doesn't exist YouTube, is they had this device that would replicate period pains, and like the women could experience the period pains with no
remember that.
problems at all, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And men were like, "Oh my god, it feels like I've been kicked in the guts. How do you women live with this?"
That's why I thought it was more accurate to say it was like a ball pinch, not a kick, but a ball pinch. I still remember to this day because I had sympathy for the kid. He was 6, and we were all supposed to sit down in a circle, you know, cross-legged. We used to be allowed to call it teepee style, and now that's not, you're not allowed to do that anymore. But he sat on his ball.
Yeah,
And I saw his face. He rolled to the ground. He looked like he was going to puke, and I didn't wish that on anybody.
Yeah.
But then I had a cramp when I was 12, and I was on the floor rolling, feeling like I was going to puke.
Yeah, and the problem with that is it gets more common as you get older. Not only do breasts sag, but balls sag too. So it's a matter of time before any man to get old enough. Eventually, you're going to sit on one. It's going to.
Yeah.
Okay. Got to stand up. You know.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Well, you're still a young guy. You're probably okay, but you get to my age, and it's something you have to be aware of.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to happen if I live long enough. If I make it to a high enough age, it will become a concern. That is definitely true.
I just I don't make jokes about that kind of thing outside of like it's just a conversation, you know.
Yeah,
like,
no. You can make jokes about it. It's fine.
But I still wouldn't really use that on a guy unless it was a death. If it was a death threat situation, yeah, I would kick him in the ball. But outside of that, no, never.
If your life is in danger, you swing for what hurts. That's totally acceptable.
Even then, I might not, because if you know enough about that kind of a strike, well, some guys just get more mad. Like if you miss,
yeah, they'll get mad. If you hit them, they're on the floor, so it's not going to make any difference.
And Mr. Yes says the man who can feel the most pain in history is Mick Foley. I don't know if that's true, but goddamn, that man can take a beating.
I don't know who that is.
He's a professional wrestler. He used to be called Mankind. He also was Cactus Jack and Dude Love.
Is this WWE stuff?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things, like the most famous wrestling matches ever, was him versus The Undertaker, where there was a problem with it was a Hell in a Cell match, and they were fighting on top of the cell. And the cell wasn't meant to break, but it did. So Mick Foley went through the cell onto thumbtacks. They had to cart him off on a stretcher. He jumps up off the stretcher because in his head, he's thinking, I haven't given the people enough of a show yet. He then continues the match and gets beat up even more. God damn, that guy's nuts.
Wow.
That's why I like to have wiggle room for outliers, because sometimes it's a woman with that kind of level and sometimes it's a guy, you know?
Well,
I don't.
Good.
Well, I was just going to say, we don't build the world around outliers. We make room for outliers, but I don't think it should revolve around them.
No.
I see these videos on YouTube of people working out, and you'll see girls holding onto an overhead bar, and their feet, they'll have a strap running from the bar across their feet and back up to the strap, and their feet will miss, and the strap will go up and hit them in the crotch.
Ooh.
I know, and you watch their reaction, and they just kind of giggle like, "Oh, I got hit in the crotch." Oh, and if that was a guy, he'd be writhing on the ground from that. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it hurts, it's more that you've been hit in the bone that's down there, and that's a different kind of strike.
I think it's worth noting there are different types of pain, so it's entirely possible that men and women have higher tolerances for different types of pain. Because I don't think a woman would have been able to handle what Mick Foley went through, just because they've got high pain tolerances normally. I don't think that kind of pain would necessarily
Women-
be something.
The only way I could see a woman doing something like that is if her adrenaline's hyped up for something else. And
Yeah.
that's not every woman either, because I've read too many stories where the woman was not really the mama bear, but the woman who is a mama bear will do that. But that's different. Like, it is different.
Well,
And,
as far as being kicked in the groin for men, it's not the bone that's the problem. It's our reproductive organs are there. I mean, when was the last time somebody punched you in your fallopian tube? See what I'm saying?
Definitely not my fallopian tube, but anytime I have to go see a gynecologist, they do things where I'm like, I have to
Get
pay
out of
for
there.
this.
That is something that always made me kind of snicker to myself when I think about men and women, is that guys don't really get examined in any way like that, just because our anatomy is not built that way.
Right.
But they're actually looking inside your body. I mean, we get prostate exams, that kind of thing, but you know,
To
It
any
doesn't have anything to do
girls
with
that are in the chat that are still virgins, I'm not saying this is a Christian. I'm saying this is somebody who has to go to see a gynecologist. If you don't have sex, they don't have to do that shit. They don't have to check you for that shit.
Oh,
If you
really?
have sex, they have to check you for that shit.
Only reason to go to a gynecologist is if you're active sexually,
I mean, I would
or
get
unless
checked-
you're in pain or something, right?
I would go to get checked because you do want to make sure that your equipment is working in order, because things get old and rusty just like every
your
other
equipment.
thing in life. But if you're sexually active, you're probably more likely to get cervical cancer.
Oh, okay.
Your chances are they're much higher. So you now have to get checked for it. And I didn't know that. I was like, oh, I would have put that on a real list of reasons to say no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing if you're planning a life with a man. I mean, you're gonna get checked for that stuff anyway, because if you might be planning to get pregnant. You know, I would, as an older woman now, I would definitely check anyway, just because you never know if something's complicated. But as a younger woman, if I'd had the opportunity to have a child, I still would have gotten checked anyway, because you never know if there's something going on down there. Like
I'm holding firm in my no doctors stance.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'll die before I go to the doctor.
Well, if you do die, you won't go to a doctor. You'll go to a mortician.
There you go. That's
So,
what I'm saying.
you'll never go to a
die
doctor.
before I go to a doctor.
I'm a very doctor-centric person. I go at every little problem. I have to, because everything's fucking falling apart on me. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the mixed crowd. I'll go if it's something that I think I really need to do, or if it was me being pregnant, I would go because it's my kid.
Right.
It's not actually because of me. It's literally because I'm having a kid. So my focus is on baby. But I'm kind of with Terry in the sense that unless I actually am really sick, I don't want to go, because I see it as a waste of the time for the doctors. You know, because a cold is something that I could deal with on my own. It's no longer something that unless you've been sick for like 2 or 3 weeks, it's no longer a serious deal. You can go get cough syrup and be fine in 3 days.
See, I just don't trust doctors. It's like, I have zero faith that what they diagnose me with is actually what I have.
We've had opposite experiences, though. I'd be dead right now if it wasn't for my doctors. So
right, and my dad might have lived longer if he'd never seen a doctor.
Yeah, I mean,
and I would just rather that doctors have more time to focus on people who have legitimate problems like what you have, Hammer. Like, that's not to say that I can't have them. Like, you know, there's the odd cold where I'll go in because bronchitis and pneumonia is something that I get every once in a while, and every time I get it, it gets a little bit worse. So out of making sure that it's not going to get that bad, I might go in for just that. But outside of that, I can tell the difference between like a average cold and bronchitis. Very different.
Yeah, so like another reason I don't trust doctors, and because we're on YouTube, I'll use coded language, but there is a certain injection that my mother received.
Injection of relevance.
Yeah,
the injection of relevance.
Particular one. And it absolutely fucked up her health. She has had heart problems ever since she was forced to take it.
I had heart problems before COVID, and I never got it.
I stopped taking it after the 2 because when they forced Kendra to take it, and she's a type 1 diabetic, I was like, there's no science behind what you're pushing.
In case people don't know who that band is, that's the Talking Heads, the 4 songs for tonight. Yeah, I had a heart attack, and I went to my cardiologist yesterday, and I'm going to my ophthalmologist tomorrow. I went to my cardiologist yesterday. I've had a test done that measures the efficiency of the heart, and I am at 35.6%, which is
pretty low.
It is very low. It's like kind of low, because 5 years ago it was at 48, almost 50. So it's dropped.
That sounds pretty low.
Yeah, it dropped precipitously over the last 5 years. So they have me on a medication that is called, I can never remember it. It's right here. Metoprolol. I always try to remember it because it's LOL at the end, like lol.
Yeah.
Metoprolol. And they just put me on it not even a month ago. So I went back to see them yesterday for them to, how is it working? Should we increase it? Should we decrease it? Any questions, problems, that kind of stuff. And she said, well, we're going to let you stay on this for another couple of months. And he says, then we're going to test you again and see where your heart is. And all it really does is slows the heart down a little bit. It just takes like 5 to 10% of its activity down to make the heart a little, not work as hard or as often. So try to keep it, viable as much as possible. She said that the heart attack is still not operable. There's nothing they can do about it. It is what it is. And they can't do anything about it. Trying to fix it would not give me any benefit, is what they said, because all they basically do is just remove it, and that wouldn't make things any better or worse.
Oh, okay.
So, but the heart attack I had was at the very bottom of the heart, and it wrapped around to the very front of the heart. And this heart attack is usually called the Widowmaker. This is the one that kills you. But it didn't go up high enough in the front of the heart for me, for some reason, just luck, I guess.
Yeah.
But the bottom of my heart, she says, the bottom of your heart's all dead. She says it's just. She says, the main ventricles and everything's working, but there's less heart muscle to do things, so it's weaker heart.
If you tell someone, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, that actually doesn't mean anything then.
What?
Yeah.
Am I missing it again? I'm missing it again.
If you say something to someone and you say, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, I don't have a bottom of my heart.
Yeah, that actually doesn't mean anything.
Not for me. And I'm going to the ophthalmologist tomorrow because I have, all diabetics have retinopathy from diabetes. But what's happened is in the last week now, or a little bit over a week, like week and a half, there's an object that everyone's had floaters. Everyone knows what a floater is. It's like something that when you're looking, you can actually.
No matter how much you flush, we've all had them.
Not that floater. It's something that you can sometimes see when you're looking at something. You'll see something moving, even though you're not moving your gaze as a floater. I have one, and you have them off and on throughout your life. You have them. It's normal. I have one that's not going away. It's a specific size, and it's been with me for almost 2 weeks now. Good. So I call my ophthalmologist and say I must have damage to the retina or something like that. And I used to take shots in my eyes on a regular basis to try to keep the back of the eye smooth. I know this sounds really weird and gross, and getting, sticking needles in your eyes is like, ew. But I stopped doing that. They said, you don't really need that anymore. Your eyes are as correct as they're going to be. You can stop doing that. But this looks like it'll probably start up again to try to solve this problem. So that's for tomorrow. And then next week is nephrology because I have stage 4 kidney cancer.
And Mr. Yes says, can a person actually die from a heartache or a broken heart? If you mean just like being very, very sad, then no. If you mean an actually broken heart, then yes, of course. If your heart is broken,
it would be collateral damage. But anybody truly sad will increase our stress level, and stress level can cause heart attacks.
But it's not going to be the sadness itself.
No, it's a domino effect. One causes another, which causes another, which causes another. So in a way, So there is certified evidence of people who have been longtime spouses that are 90 years old. One dies, the other one dies 2 days later.
Oh yeah,
For no apparent reason, you know. And you can only say, well, but they died of a broken heart. Their love lying, the love of their life for 45, 50, 60, whatever, how many years passed. They see no reason to live anymore, and they just die for no apparent reason.
I don't think it's dying of a broken heart. I think it's dying from a loss of purpose. It's like, well,
Maybe.
What's the point of existing with it? Like,
most of these people have children. You know, so they have people they could be living for, but their main person that they love.
One of the reasons my dad was willing to do the assisted suicide, or however you want to phrase it, was because he'd seen that I had grown up to be a success. Like he felt, I've done my job with Terry. I can let things end now. So like if you've seen your children grow up to be successful adults, then that could be more like the fulfillment of a purpose as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, were you an only child?
I was his only kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I can see that.
I've got like 2 half brothers and a half sister, like same mother, different father. But I was my dad's only child.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can see how that would be a thing for him, because they're not his children, even though he loves them. They're not his children.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on? The music poll is like, it never follows what I think it's going to do. I swear to God.
I am not surprised in the slightest that that particular one is winning, because I think it's probably the most well-known out of the 4 that you've chosen.
Well, you notice I didn't put Psycho Killer up there.
No, I was surprised. I thought you were going to put that because you said it was your favorite.
It's just that, well, yeah, it's my personal favorite, but I'm trying to put up songs that are of equal things. That I don't want my personal favorite to be the influence.
Right.
But we both agreed on one, so that one got up there, and that's getting votes. Yeah. But I can't believe this one's getting votes. Like, wow. All right, well, I'm always wrong. I've come to accept it. I'm always wrong when it comes to the.
That's fine.
And we only have 6 votes. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that is surprising. There's only 6 people voting.
I mean, I don't even know who I'm voting for, and I voted.
Jensen Schubert. I don't care. I'll just vote for someone. Fuck it.
Oh my
I
God.
wanted to see if I could vote accurately to who everyone else is voting. That's what I do.
I have to stop being friends with Tier. Tier says he's abstaining because he's never heard of this band. Sorry,
he's never. Oh my God. What is wrong with people?
It's been a good friendship up to this point, but I'm afraid irreconcilable differences.
You can't imagine how exasperated I am.
At least Tier's being honest. You know, he didn't lower his standards like I did and just vote for a rando song.
And
you people.
Dunsky says the winning song is the most melodic of the 4. Yeah, probably. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like to see if my psychic guesses will work this time, because it's something that doesn't like gain me anything. Because if I try this with lottery tickets, I never win.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I like them all. It's hard for me to pick out, but I really consider putting my favorite up there. But I thought, all these other songs are from a time period, and this one's one of the original tunes. It really doesn't match, doesn't fit, even though I like it, blah, 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 blah. So this is a list I came up with. Like I said, there was a couple other ones I was considering too.
Oh yeah, there's
and
so
she
many
was,
songs. Like Burning Down the House.
Burning Down the House, yep.
Road to Nowhere.
Road to Nowhere. I know where we're going. I know where we've been.
No, there's a ton of really, really good Talking Head songs. Girlfriend is Better. I think that's a cool song.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of good Talking Heads music. It's like the Cars. There's certain artists that just Hall & Oates that just pumped out a lot of hits. Yeah. So, not many bands are that lucky. And I can only really think of 2 that are really that big, and that would be, well, maybe 3. Eagles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beatles.
Yeah, for sure.
Stones. And maybe Aerosmith.
Absolutely. I wouldn't put Aerosmith on the same level as like the Beatles and the Stones. They're up there, but I don't think they're as high as those other ones.
Maybe not.
Maybe for just having albums, but not for like good albums.
Yeah, I mean, some bands will put quantity over quality.
Like, I'm not saying that that's better. I'm just saying, like, because you are going to make more sales if you've done that. And the Beatles ended for reasons that, you know, I mean, it might have been Yoko Ono. It might also be because some of them died.
Let's see, who was it? Check Your Logic said Once in a Lifetime. That's another excellent song.
Oh, yeah. What was really a groundbreaker with that was the video that went with it. Because it came out roughly the same time MTV came out. And they played the fuck out of that.
I think Wild Wild Life probably has my favorite music video out of the Talking Head songs, where they've got all like the people coming up and singing on the stage. And
yeah. I should probably put Days Go By instead of Love for Sale. I don't think anybody knows. Or maybe Stay Up Late.
Check Your Logic says Beatles are okay, just overrated. It depends what you mean. I don't like their music to the extent that their reputation would suggest, but you can't say that they weren't massively successful. Like, they're one of the best performing bands in history, so you can't really say that they're overrated. Like, people, I mean, they earned their success.
Their music actually grew and changed as time went by. They were the classic bebop rock band, you know, back when they started, you know, 4 guys in dress suits, you know. By the time you were done, you had these hippies, and now even Paul McCartney, even to this day, with the Wings, is still producing music that's very contemporary to the times. You know, they didn't just play one kind of music and just stick with it forever and ever. They moved with the times, and it made them successful over a long period of time. Even the Stones did that. I mean, you remember how the Stones were very. Listen, remember "Miss You," a disco song. It's like, what the fuck?
No. Listen to Painted Black, then listen to "Start Me Up," or
right, "Start Me Up."
Or like any of their songs from the 80s.
I think
like,
"Miss You" was the biggest change.
Because that was the one I was trying to think of the name of.
Yeah, it was just a straight up disco song. I mean,
they're very, very different songs if you listen to the two eras.
And that's the same thing the Beatles did. They grew with the times. Their music changed.
Well, I think you have to if you want any kind of sustained success.
Yeah, because you have to be attractive to the people who are buying the records, and that demographic changes over time. As musical tastes change.
Gunsky says that whole album, Remain in Light, is fantastic. I don't know what songs are on which album. I
don't either.
Not for any band do I know what album the song came off, because I don't listen to albums. The song I like, I listen to it on YouTube. It probably came off an album. Which one, I will never know.
The only songs I can generally tell you what album they came off of would be a lot of ELO stuff, just because I'm a fan of them. Yeah. But again, they're not in the same league as the people we're talking about.
See, I can tell you what album most Guns N' Roses songs came from, because it's Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah.
It's like pretty much the only one.
Only album.
Like they had Use Your Illusion, and I think Use Your Illusion 2 is the one that had November Rain. But 99% of Guns N' Roses' good songs is Appetite for Destruction. Just if you guess that, you'll be right.
Yeah. Well, like I said, my favorite band was never a leader when it came to that kind of stuff, you know. But there was something about when you fall in love with a band. Like I was a big fan of Garbage. I was a big fan of
I like Garbage.
Collective Soul. I liked Ace of Base. There's a lot of Linkin Park. There's a lot of out there. I'm kind of a bit of a Rod Stewart fan. Definitely a Cars fan. But the big one for me was.
Band, but there was a band that I discovered through There's a Guitar Hero or rock band called Rilo Kiley, and I started
Sounds
listening to
familiar.
their. What's that?
Sounds familiar. I think I've heard that name before.
Probably
Word.
because I've mentioned them before. I don't think anyone really knows who they are. They're pretty obscure. But I just like listen to all their music. And it's like, okay, I really like, the first 2 albums, and then they kind of went off. But no, they had some really good music that most people probably wouldn't think much of, but for some reason just resonated with me.
ELO had like 12 or 13 albums, so they produced a lot of music. But like they had their debut album, they had ELO 2 and the Third Day, El Dorado, The Night the Late went out. What came after that? 75, they had an album come out, Face Music, and then a New World Record, which was very popular. Out of the Blue, which is really Mr. Blue Sky, and Discovery, and then the last like 81, they just kind of like got quiet, but they did like Time, Secret Messages, and there was one more, Balance of Power, I think was 85, 86, somewhere around there. But they've just been doing tours ever since. So they have so much music, such a catalog, that you can go to 10 shows in a row and not hear the same song twice.
And I'm surprised 6 in chat. He says Ice House rules. Yes,
Ice
yes,
House.
they do. Ice House are amazing.
Yes.
Um,
There's a couple of outstanding Australian bands.
Yeah, Great Southern Land is from the Young Einstein soundtrack, and
Isn't Crowded House Australian?
What's that?
Isn't Crowded House Australian?
They're from New Zealand. So
sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry.
No. A lot of people think of them as an Australian band because I think they did move to Australia, but they're all Kiwis that are actually in it.
I don't want to insult anybody.
Nah,
just making that clear.
It only goes the other way. Kiwis get insulted if you call them Australian. Australians.
Oh, really?
Get upset if you call them Kiwis.
So basically, Australians are the white people.
Yeah.
I should make that joke. People are gonna get mad at me. It's just a joke. It's a joke. You heard me laugh and everything.
And, Check Your Logic says AC/DC. AC/DC
definitely an Australian band.
But he is right that to say that they're Australian and Scottish kind of makes sense because none of the members were born in Australia. The band formed in Australia, but they're all Scottish and English people. Like the original group was all Scottish, all people from Scotland that lived in Australia. And then when Bon Scott died and Brian Johnson joined, he's actually born in England. So
did they commit a crime or something?
Yeah, I don't think so, but who knows?
I'm being bad tonight. I should watch what I'm saying. 8 votes? That's all we have is 8 votes?
Looks like it.
I thought I picked a great band for T.
I think you did.
Guys are just lazy. That's what it is. Well, it's what, 10 of? I should probably end this. Who's leading? Well, the good thing about this is that I have a version of that song that is a mix. I'll be using that tonight instead of the original. So you'll get to hear a different version of it than you normally hear.
So Check Your Logic says Metallica and Pantera are 2 of his favorite bands. Yeah, no, I'm not a huge Pantera fan, but I mean, they've got some good songs, and I do like Metallica.
I like some of the hair bands, but I can't get, that's just too heavy for me. You know, I can listen to Bon Jovi and Poison, some of that stuff. But when you,
I definitely like those bands as well.
Yeah, when you start getting into Slayer, and I was like,
I fully understand. It's only because I played Guitar Hero that I got into the heavier side of metal, because I'm a completionist. I'm gonna play every damn song on the and I'm gonna get 5 stars on every goddamn song. And because the metal songs are so much more difficult, because the guitar playing is a lot more proficient. It's not just like 4 chords. It's like they're doing crazy shit. So I had to play those metal songs a lot more to actually get the 5 stars on them, and so I listened to them a lot, and I grew to like them.
Yeah. It's just out of my time period. I think I was in my late college years when that stuff.
Actually, I discovered Iron Maiden through Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And I was visiting the family, and my brother had the Tony Hawk game. I was just playing it because it was like the only thing he had. I was like, this song is amazing. What is this? And it was a Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. It's like, oh my God, I need to hear more of this band. And so pretty much everything I've heard from Iron Maiden is amazing.
Yeah. If you say so, man. That's just not my style.
No,
so.
I mean, like, obviously it's not for everyone. If you don't like the heavier side of metal, then yeah, you're probably not going to be a fan.
I can go more into head music than I can go into heavy metal. I'm more of an aluminum guy. not very heavy metal, light metal. But like I can listen to Pink Floyd and I'd be absolutely fine with it. So Emerson, Lake and Palmer. There's plenty of headbands out there that I could listen to and be fine. I just can't go the other way around. I can't go into really hard stuff. It just.
And Six wants to know if you like Dokken Hammer.
I've heard the name before. I've not voluntarily or intentionally heard any music.
Fair enough.
If there is something that you think I can withstand. I have listened to Rammstein. It's not like I'm completely ignorant of this. That's in the same level. It just happens to be a foreign band, but.
No, I mean, I've listened to Dokken in the past. I just can't remember what song it was that I heard of theirs. So I can't tell you if you'd like them or not. I don't remember them well enough.
Have you ever heard Du Hast in English?
No, God no. That sounds awful.
The band recorded it. They recorded it in English. You can.
No, I know.
It's on one of their albums somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's them. It's not a live performance or anything like that. It is them in a studio. I recognize the voices.
No, it's the same with 99 Luftballons.
Is there an English version of that?
They made an English version of that, and
it's
terrible. Like why?
Du Hast is not bad. Du Hast is not bad. It's every bit as menacing as it is in German. It's not obviously not going to be as guttural because they're not using the same words, but the words Du Hast, Du hast mich is you hate me.
Right.
So if they're singing about hate in a song, it's like, okay, we're not losing anything about what the song is about. This is, and do you know what the words mean in that? He's talking about a girl.
Yeah. I've looked up the translation because obviously
you have seen it then. Okay, yeah. He's talking about a girl.
Yes, most of Rammstein's songs are about sex.
Well, yeah, there's a component to that. He's talking about a girl, but he does mention in one line about something about sex.
Yeah.
Something. Would you stay inside me?
Yeah.
I think is a allusion to something.
Yeah, there's a song, I think it's called Pussy. It's like, I've got a dick, you've got a
What's
pussy,
that about?
So what's the problem?
Oh, it's about kitty cats.
yes, of course.
Yeah. So, yeah. But I mean, I can listen to that. That's not so bad, right? That's kind of heavy metal,
no,
right?
I like Rammstein. Yeah, they're good.
Okay.
And Gunsky is saying he only knows the English version. I feel so sorry for you, man.
Oh, you haven't heard the German version of it?
What's that?
He hasn't heard the German version of Du Hast? You're kidding me.
I guess not.
Oh, dude, go out and listen to it. I mean, it sounds very evil. It's awesome.
Oh, it is a great song. That
song is all music anyway. I mean, the words are great. The lyrics are great. They add to the song, no doubt about it. But those driving guitars, dun, 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 that very hard pounding, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's just plain awesome. So. Well, we went everywhere but the topics tonight, didn't we?
Yeah, and Thierry's worried about Jen. Are you there? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm here.
She just gets quiet
I fade out sometimes when you guys get into your conversations, and I just do the female thing, and I just fade out. Yeah. That's all. And then I tune back in. That's all.
No.
Hi, dear. How are you?
I do the same. If there's a conversation that I'm not really well versed in, and you two really know the subject, I'll just let you talk about it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You just gotta ask me questions, get me back into the conversation. I'm right here.
I'll be quiet if someone else wants to run the show.
No,
Notice there's no volunteers. All right, just so everybody knows. And neither one of them are saying, "Oh, I want to run it." It's a pain in the ass.
I just figured this way, no one can ever claim that Jen speaks throughout all the streams. She's not the owner of all the streams with her voice.
Yeah. No, I mean, you are very chatty, but I mean, that's
if we get
fine.
on the right subject, Jen's chatting. I try to stay on those subjects, but every once in a while, I get selfish and start talking about things that matter to me.
Which you should. It's not just about me.
That's not my job. Is to keep the conversation going. That means everybody. That's some. When you're not talking, I'm not doing the right thing. So, anyway, we only have 4 minutes. I don't know what you want to talk about in 4 minutes. I really didn't finish the end of what the description was for TFE.
Yeah, the flat Earth.
The flat Earth deal. What's actually happening with that is a group of flat earthers and globists, that's what they call themselves, and a couple of scientists are traveling down to Antarctica, where they're going to determine whether or not there is such a thing as a 24-hour sun. If there is a 24-hour sun, a sun that never sets, the world has to be a globe. There's no other option.
Right.
So they're going to prove it with flat earthers actually there, and 3 of the people who are going are professional photographers.
Okay.
So they'll be having cameras on mounts that are pointed at the sun and will track the sun in its 24-hour progression. So the lens will move by itself to keep the sun in front of it. So there'll be no tampering, and there'll be flat earthers watching that video and watching all the video being taken, all that kind of stuff, so they can corroborate. Yeah, it was a 24-hour sun.
I don't know if it's real, if it was making fun of them, but I saw a poster that said, "The Flat Earth Society, we have offices all over the globe."
Yeah. Just as a quick note, TFE stands for the final experiment. This is what they're calling it.
I just assumed it was the Flat Earth.
No, the final experiment. And it's being backed by some millionaire, too. He's paying for a lot of the people's plane tickets down there.
Yeah. It had to be someone rich that was funding.
Yeah. So that's the deal. That's why I wanted to add it, because do we ever talk about science on this channel? We talk about science fiction. We talk about movies and music and video games, but we never talk about science fact. And I thought it was interesting. I follow the guy. I like the combat that he has with the flat earthers, because he's a globalist. And he's a high-skilled photographer, too. So when people talk about, we took a picture out over the ocean, and supposedly when things go far away, they're supposed to dip a certain level because of the curvature of the Earth, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I'm a photographer. That's not how things work. This is how they really work. When you're going to do that stuff, you have to be close to the ground. When you talk about the curvature of the Earth, you can't stand 20 feet in the air and then complain about the curvature of the Earth. You have to be close to sea level. And you guys are doing it wrong. And he points out all the mistakes they made. Things like the ISS doesn't exist. Challenger never really blew up. All these kind of, Elon Musk is in on it, and he comes up with things, and they just don't, they can't explain it. Okay. So NASA is bad, right? NASA's lying to all of us. All right. What about Jackson?
As I said at the start of the stream, the planet is banana shaped.
Yeah. He says, what about NASA? What about, if that's true, then why is our mortal enemy agreeing with us? Why is JAXA doing exactly the same thing? They believe it's round too. And why does the European Union believe it's round? And why does Africa believe it's round? And he starts going through all of them. He mentions like 35, 40 countries, and this country, and this country, and this country. And he just gets really pedantic about it. It's funny. It's really funny, because he's doing it on purpose. He's being annoying because he wants to annoy them. So he's quite the, of course I'm going to forget his name. Keegan. His last name is Keegan. Okay. So if you search Keegan Flat Earth or Keegan Globalist or something like that, you'll see his channel. He sits in a chair, a comfy, very well padded living room cloth chair. It's kind of like a blue color, and he has a dog. It's like a basset hound named Rusty. And the dog sits with him as he talks into the camera, and he pets it. And if he makes a movement with his hand, the dog will reach up and grab his hand and pull it back down to pet him. Yeah. So it's kind of adorable at the same time, and he's a family man, kids and a wife and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for something to watch, he's interesting.
Cool. But we have actually hit our 2 o'clock my time.
Yeah. So it's at that time.
It goes quick.
I know, an hour thing.
When I get
We
talking,
start early sometimes.
we didn't start early this time, did we?
No, but we were on
Mhm.
Rumble. Did we start early on Rumble though?
Yeah, we started pretty early.
Yeah, we usually, instead of the advertised like half past, we started like quarter past. It was pretty early.
Yeah, you were here like 10 minutes after 8.
Yeah.
You were here early.
Hmm.
So I was surprised. I was like, everybody's here. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, just so you guys remember, like if you want to catch us a little earlier, you got to go into Rumble.
Yeah, that's where all the good stuff happens.
Yeah.
You guys, all the songs that we're going to be using for the outro and all that kind of stuff, we play snippets from them. So you get to hear the songs that we're going to be voting on later. And little things like that we do on that show. So that's good stuff. Anyway, we should probably get out of here. Where's my music at? Play it. Well, there it is. This is a version of the song that's you don't normally hear. It's not a radio edit. It's an extended edit. So it's a little different. So outro. Running the show is a lot of fun, let me tell you. Thanks, fam, as always, for chatting with us tonight. If you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, remember the Minions are live every evening except Tuesday, with most shows starting around 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Host and start times are linked in the description down below. As Jen mentioned, don't forget about the Rumble pre-show. The stream starts roughly a half an hour before YouTube. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.